Check, 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 check. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to B'nai Israel, and welcome to those who are watching at home. You are certainly welcome too, and I hope that you're participating and singing along. It's been quite a week, and I think I particularly need to be here at Temple with my fellow congregants, because it's been a tough week with yet another mass shooting of innocent children. And that coincides with Memorial Day and sort of the feeling of patriotism. But we have to figure out how to make sure that our elected officials do what's right for our children, because they don't get to vote. So it's kind of up to us. But here we are, and we're going to welcome the Shabbat angels with Shalom Aleichem on page 142 in your prayer books. And where can they find that if they need a prayer book?
Thank you, Linda. As if on cue. So on page 142 is Shalom Aleichem. Those of us who are here in the sanctuary, I see we all have prayer books. If you are at home and are tuning in virtually and you need a prayer book, just surf over to our website, bnaiisraelsouthbury.org. There you'll see the link on the front page of our website, which will take you to the CCAR, where there is a free flip book available for you to follow along tonight. Page 142.
All right. Yeah. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Huni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem HaShalom, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And now Catherine Albee, trustee of our congregation, president of our LLC, our campus, leads us this evening in candle lighting. Candle lighting will be found in the prayer books on page 120, page 120.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik there shel Shabbat. Thank you very much.
We now turn to page 138 as we continue to welcome Shabbat with L'Chadodi. We welcome Shabbat as a bride. We will be singing on pages 138, the first, the second, and then the 9th verse on page 139 of L'Chadodi.
Whoop, I'm sorry. L'chadodi l'krat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. 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 Shamor v'sachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem el tiferet v'litila. L'chadodi l'krat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi l'krat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'krat Shabbat lechuven elcha, ki mikor abracha, mehirosh mikedem nesucha, sof mahaseh b'machshava tehila. L'chadodi l'krat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi l'krat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Bohi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Bohi chala, bohi chala. L'chadodi l'krat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi l'krat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
We turn to page 144, page 144 for the Chatzikah.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba. Be'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlik malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dekol bet Yisrael. Bagala, uvizman karib, v'meru, amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevorach, le'olam u'lemei halmaya, yitbarach. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yiramam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yithalei v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brihu leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma V'meru, amen.
We turn to page 146. We invite those who are able to rise for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We read together in English on page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsebaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. And we read together in English on page 150. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. On page 154 is the Ve'ahavta. We join together with Linda.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Emet. I read towards the bottom of page 156. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously. Mechamocha will be found on page 158.
Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh nora tehilot oseferet nora tehilot oseferet malachutecha ra'u v'necha b'kei hayam lifnei Moshe Miriam zehlianu ve'ameru zehlianu ve'ameru Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed.
Bochata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. I read on the bottom of page 160, Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. On page 162 is our prayer for Shabbat V'Shamru at the top of the page.
V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayi nafash.
Our service now continues with the tefillah. It begins on page 164. We invite those who are able to rise. We'll be chanting the prayers beginning on page 164, continuing to page 170, we'll be chanting the even-numbered, the right-hand pages.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdevot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Lifnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozera Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atavrav Lihoshia, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Shomech Noflim V'Rofei Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayei Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Givurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechayei, Umatzmiya Yeshua, V'nehemana Taleh HaChayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. At the end of last Shabbat, we mourned the murder of African Americans who had been targeted at a supermarket in Buffalo. Tonight, it's young children and their teachers murdered at their school in Texas. Shalom, of course, is the opposite of violence. May we not falter in the work of bringing shalom and repair to this broken world. For a time when between nations and within nations, none shall study war, there'll be no more violence, indifference, or cruelty anymore. Lo Yisagoy, page 179.
Lo Yisagoy el goy cheret, Lo Yimedu od milchama, Lo Yisagoy el goy cheret, Lo Yimedu od milchama, Lo Yisagoy el goy cheret, Lo Yimedu od milchama, Lo Yisagoy el goy cheret, Lo Yimedu od milchama, Lo Yisagoy el goy cheret, Lo Yimedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy cheret, lo yemedu od milchama.
Silent prayer, page 180.
Oh, say shalom bimrama. Huya say shalom aleinu. Be'aka Yisrael. Be'imru. Bimru amen. Oh, say shalom bimrama. Say shalom aleinu, ve'aka Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'aka Yisrael, say shalom, say shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
As we count the 50 days from Passover to Shavuot, we see that we're getting closer to Shavuot. As this coming week, in fact, tomorrow night, also marks the start of Yom Yerushalayim, of Jerusalem Day, and the reunification of the city following the Six-Day War. Let us be thankful how contemporary Jewish life is again centered around the ancient stones of Jerusalem and the holiness and accessibility that is offered to all. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who makes us holy through mitzvot, commanding us to counting the Omer. Hayom Shnaim v'Arba'im Yom Shehem Shisha Shavuot LaOmer. Today is the 42nd day, making 6 weeks of the Omer. And as Pirkei Avot is often studied during this period, I share this insightful passage. Ben Hehe said, according to the labor is the reward. Our services now continue, page 364, with Seder Kriyat Torah, our Torah service. We invite those who are able to rise. We sing Ki Mitzion.
Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. Udevar Adonai miYerushalayim.
Please be seated. Tonight we begin the 4th book of the Torah, Bamidbar. It's set in the wilderness of Sinai, the 2nd year after the people Israel have left Egypt. It will describe events of the next 38 years until the people are ready to enter Israel. In English, the book is known by the name Numbers, as it begins with a counting, a census of the people. We read a listing of those who helped to direct the counting, a list of formerly famous tribal chieftains. At one level, It's a list of now obscure names. All but the most devoted students would be able to identify them. But the Torah is making a larger point, that each person helps to perpetuate Judaism. The Torah is underscoring that each of us, not just Moses or Miriam or Abraham or Sarah, can help to sustain a people. We are all significant. Our Aliyah on this Shabbat, closest to Memorial Day, reminds us of the significant contribution and the sacrifices offered by those who died defending our nation. This year, in particular, we are aware how events like Russia's invasion of Ukraine, its menace and cruelty and challenge, focus our sight on what should be evident at all times, that life and liberty can never be taken for granted, that freedom must be defended, and that this cost is borne by nations, and most particularly by the members of the armed forces. We ask our veteran present and for those who are online, we ask you to recite the Torah Aliyah, our veterans who are online this evening. So, Ya'amod Vatik. Our Torah portion is B'midbar. It will be Numbers chapter 1. It starts on page 1028. The other thing, the blessings before and after the reading of the Torah are found on page 368 of the prayer book, or page 1028 of the Torah commentary. And on behalf of all former servicemen, our President Stephen Reps offers our Aliyah to the Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Bana Mikol Ha'amin V'natan Lano Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Eteinu Torah.
Amen. Amen. V'gedaber Adonai El Moshe b'midbar Sinai b'ohel moed b'echad l'chodesh hasheni b'shana hashenit letzetam me'eretz Mitzrayim le'mor. And Adonai and God said to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai at the tent of meeting on the first day of the second month of the second year from when they left Egypt, saying, Suat Rosh Kol Adat B'nai Yisrael, take a census, literally raise the heads in order to count. Take a census of all of the congregation of the Israelites, of the children of Israel, L'mishpachotam levet avotam, from their families and ancestral houses, b'mispar shemot kol zachar legulotam, each of the men miben esrim shana v'mala, from the age of 20 years and up, kol yotzei tzava b'Yisrael, all who are able to bear arms for Israel. Tifkadu otam, you shall count them, letzivotam, by their numbers, atah v'aharon. This is said to Moses, so for you and Aaron. V'itachem yihiyu ish lamatei, and with you there will be a person from each tribe, each rosh levet avotav, each one a head of an ancestral house. Who? Ve'ela shemot ha'anashim asher ya'amdu itchem, and here were the names of the people who would stand with them. LeReuven, from the tribe of Reuben. Elitzur ben Shedeor. LeShimon, from the tribe of Simeon. Shmuliel ben Surishadai. LeYehuda, from the tribe of Judah. Nachshon ben Aminadav. LeIssachar, from the tribe of Issachar. Nathanael ben Suar. LeZevulun, from Zevulun. Eliav ben Chelon. LeVinye Yosef, from the Joseph tribes. LeEphraim, from Ephraim. Elishama ben Amihud. LeManasseh, and from Manasseh, Gamliel ben Padatzur. Levinyamin from the tribe of Benjamin, Avidan ben Gidoni, Ladan from the tribe of Dan, Achiezer ben Amishadai, Laasher from the tribe of Asher, Pagiel ben Ochron, Lagad from the tribe of Gad, Eliasaph ben Duel, Naphtali from the tribe of Naphtali, Achira ben Enan. Ela, Koreh, Ha'edah, these are those who have been summoned amongst the people, Nisei, Matot, Avotam, Rashi, Alphai, Yisrael, Hem. These are the leaders of Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natal b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Our service will now continue on page 374. We invite those present to rise as the Torah will be returned to the ark. We sing Etz Chaim He.
Him he lemachazikim ba v'tomacheha meushar derachea dachenoam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
Please be seated. This point in our service, as we offer our blessing, our prayer for healing, we are mindful of Robert Dower, Ellie Crystal, Phil Feynman, Gerald Friedkin, Kelly Lynn Hickey, Ruth Holt, Erwin Klar, Hamoret Tzvi Amina, Bat Tzvi Hirsch V'ita, Kevin Lembo, Yvette Mickenberg, Art Phillips, David Rubinsky, Gilbert Sloan, Raj Schoonmaker, Michael Schwartz, and Alan Stein. There are also those for whom we pray privately. We also pray for people over the world fighting COVID-19. For those in our sanctuary, please share out loud the names of people for whom we likewise publicly pray this Shabbat. And for those on Zoom and electronically, we ask you at home to say the names for whom we also prayed this Shabbat. For those on Zoom, we invite you to unmute and say their names.
Katie Carollo and Ed Schwartz.
Bill Jacobs and Kathleen Manning.
Adas Gold, Barbara Checky,
For all, may the Holy One send healing and shelter in protection. Our Misha Berach prayer will be found on page 372.
Avotenu, habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lehabotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Our youth are not expendable. Just a few weeks back, our Shabbat morning Torah study group looked at a text from Leviticus chapter 18, verse 21. Do not allow any of your offspring to be offered up to Molech. But child sacrifice is essentially what we again witnessed this week in Texas. Not much wiser, a decade after the elementary school shooting in Sandy Hook, that searing event, whose indelible pain has been etched into the lives of so many congregants and our extended community. Several of the B'nai Israelites from Newtown I've communicated with in recent days have been greatly impacted by the reports of this latest abomination. People felt sadness, deep sadness, and had difficulty functioning. Their perspective and our vantage is sobering. Based on the lived experience of so many within and beyond this community, we have an eerie sense of what will ensue in Texas. First, expressions of grief and empathy. Then, the current stage, discussion of failed signs and terrible errors, to be followed by a flurry of policy recommendations, and then, likely, disappointment. For the past decade has been replete with defiance of Leviticus 18:21. We've witnessed more human sacrifice and the extension of the circle of mourners. So what might Judaism teach us? As part of a people that has known slaughter and loss, as part of a people whose own children during the Holocaust were shot in trenches or turned into ashes and wisps of smoke, our people's guidance can be helpful to America. Uvacharta v'chayim, says the Torah, choose life. And so we did. The Shoah survivors and our people determined not to accept despair or defeat. In turn, through remembrance, resilience, and action, the modern state of Israel was born, and American Jewry rose to new heights. Remembrance, resilience, action. We, too, must apply them now. We are to remember the victims and pledge never to desensitize ourselves to loss. Nor can we minimize the ongoing effects of gun violence. We must also define the narrative and likewise recall incidents of bravery and compassion. And we must reach across our nation's divides to find ways to make America's children more secure. Our not allowing our offspring to be offered up to Molech will take effort. It will require moral courage, honest appraisal, and reaching for realistic alternatives. Sadly, we are a nation awash in guns. For instance, the AR-15S, the rifle used in the shooting this week in Texas, last week in Buffalo, and a decade ago in Sandy Hook. That rifle accounts for 1 out of every 5 firearm sales in our nation. Americans own an estimated 15 million of them. We are also challenged by meager mental health resources available to the troubled. Assuredly, most individuals facing mental health crises are not violent, but stronger protection is needed from those who are. One example is red flag laws, enabling a court to temporarily remove firearms from the homes of persons deemed a danger to themselves or others. Our own Arthur O'Neill, then a state representative, authored Connecticut's legislation that became a model to other states, but not nearly enough states. And we need to factor in age. A teenager considered too immature to purchase a six-pack can nonetheless buy an assault weapon. Earlier, I observed how society was not much wiser after Newtown. But let that not diminish the sparks of hope that have been lit. Amidst pain, memory, and loss, in several ways, Sandy Hook families have modeled the choice for life, from civic activism to courtroom challenges. Victims' families have sought to change liability law and have countered debased charlatans like Alex Jones, who falsified history and targeted the bereaved. Like Jewry itself, they demonstrate how if we possess the will, there can be progress. They teach us fewer families need face these same tragedies. Our prayer book counsels us to pray as if everything depended upon God and to act as if everything depends upon us. Prayer is not to spurn action, but to spur it. In this spirit tonight, Linda prays her own setting of Psalm 23. Linda first composed the piece as part of a larger work in remembrance of the attack at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Like the psalm itself, the setting's soft and sweet tones reassure us that even amidst our loss, God is with us. This Shabbat, in the wake of Texas, may such awareness of the Holy One help to reawaken in us commitment to our country's youth through remembrance, resilience, and action. For as a headline in The Atlantic explains, a culture that kills its kids has no future. Ken Yehi Ratzon, be this God's will.
Adonai roi lo esar binot sheyar b'tzeni. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me to lie down in green pastures. God leads me beside waters so still. God restores my soul. God guides me in pathways of justice as befits God's holy name. Adonai roi lo esor binot sheyar b'tzeni. Yea, though I walk through the valley of death, I will fear no evil. You are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You anoint my head with precious oil, my cup overflows, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall pursue me all my days, and I will dwell in God's holy house forever, forever, forever and ever.
Our service now continues on page 586. We invite those who are able to rise for the Aleinu. The Aleinu that we'll be chanting is the second paragraph down on the page.
Aleinu l'shabeach lahadon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kugei habratzot, velo samanu kemishbechot hadama, shelo samachelkenu kahem, Vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu.
Please be seated. We continue our singing on page 591, V'ne'emar.
V'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, Lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo echad.
Page 598, page 598. At this moment in our service, we now call to mind our own beloved dead. We pray on their behalf. We voice the confidence that they are remembered for blessing. I ask that those in mourning or remembering the anniversary of the death of a loved one to please rise if you are able when their name is mentioned. During Shiva, we remember Seymour Rosen, father of Mike, father-in-law of Beth, grandfather of Eli and Amelia. During Shloshim, Walter Wisniewski, father of Eric, father-in-law of Tammy, grandfather of Matthew, Samantha, Zachary, and Adam. And Dr. Charles Stubinsky, father of Eve, father-in-law of David, Ackert, grandfather of Sophie and Noah. We remember the art sites, the anniversaries of the deaths of Juanita Chichester, Rosamond Count, Louis Nate Danon, Meyer B. Erlanger Sr., Nathan Fine, Fanny Fingerhut, William Finkelstein, Alan Chase Franken, Adela Landau, Edward Landau, Jeanette Lax, Philip Levine, Molly Liebeskind, Gertrude Paul Miller, and Hyman Mickey Miller. We ask our worshipers in our sanctuary, should you have a dear one to add, to please rise and say their name. And we ask our worshipers at home to say the name loud of their loved one, and we invite those on Zoom to unmute if they wish to add a name. For those in our sanctuary, should you wish, we invite you to offer a short remembrance of a dear one on our Kaddish list. As we ready for Memorial Day, we include special prayers and readings, and on this Shabbat closest to Memorial Day, we remember Gibra Noonan, who had been studying with me towards conversion, as well as those Jewish service members who have died in America's wars, including Afghanistan and Iraq, including Benjamin Sclaver of Hamden. So too we remember Franklin Nathanson of this congregation, who died on the last day of World War II. If you wish to add the names of other veterans who died in the service of our country, I ask you to say their names now. We remember the dead from COVID-19. We remember the Ukrainian victims of Russia's invasion, and we recall the victims of the elementary school shooting in Texas, the 2 fourth-grade teachers, Eva Morales and Irma Garcia, and the students Uzziah Garcia, Makena Elrod, Jose Flores Jr., Rogelio Torres, Javier Lopez, Amarie Jo Garza, Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez, Elijah Cruz Torres, Eliana Garcia, JC Carmela Luvanos, Jalia Nicole Seguero, Tess Mata, Alexandria Ania Rubio, Jackie Sarvarez, Nave Bravo, Laila Salazar, and Alethea Ramirez. Each Shabbat, we also mention 6 names amongst the 6 million murdered in the Holocaust, the Shoah. This week, we remember Swirl Broivda, Essel Broivda, Mendel Broivda, Leba Broivda, Yehuda Bruchstein, and Shifra Bruchstein. In remembrance and solidarity, and on behalf of those for whom there is no one but us to say Kaddish, we now invite all to rise, if you are able, our Kaddish prayer, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach hirute v'amlich malchute. B'chaye echon uv'yom echon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah muvarach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Damirad bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. O say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zukranam levracha, may their memories be for blessing, and let us say amen. Please be seated. Stephen Reps, the president of B'nai Israel, has our announcements for this week.
Good evening, all. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us for Shabbat evening, whether in person, online, through Zoom, Vimeo, or YouTube. Thank you, Rabbi, for a wonderful service, and Linda for your lovely music. And special thanks to all my fellow veterans. Tomorrow, Torah study at 10:30 a.m. Rabbi's Advanced Jewish Learning class, the last of the semester, will be held on Sunday morning at 10:30 here and virtually. Rabbi Eric and Southbury clergy are marching on Monday in Southbury's Memorial Day Parade. Feel free to come and cheer them on. And they actually, I looked it up, it starts at 11 o'clock. Starts at Pomperog Office Park and marches down Main Street South to the Memorial Green. Next Shabbat, a very busy weekend. We have Eliana Quigley is our Friday night service leader and will be called to the Torah as a bat mitzvah on Shabbat. And on Shavuot, Lily Slapoy will be called to the Torah also as a bat mitzvah. That is a Sunday service. That's at 10 a.m. Please put on your calendar our annual meeting, Tuesday evening, June 14th, 7 p.m. For those wishing to join Rabbi for a virtual oneg, stay on after our closing hymn. And Shabbat Shalom, have a great holiday weekend.
Stephen, thank you. And with Memorial Day coming this weekend, we're going to conclude, as Linda said at the beginning, with a patriotic note. God Bless America, page 680, page 680.